Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, welcome to Moca's World. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. So today I wanted to do a follow-up to my DIY modeling paste video, giving some tips now that I have more experience with it, and going over some of your great questions from the comments section of the original video. I often get repeat questions, so I thought it best to go over them publicly here. In this video, I'll also be showing different uses of this very versatile DIY paste, using short clips from some of my other crafting videos. I'll include the links for those full videos in the description section. Oh, one last thing. I'm including the recipe and craft supplies links there as well. If you are purchasing anything on Amazon, would you be so kind to access Amazon using any of my affiliate links? I would appreciate it so much. Okay, let's get into the video. So here are some tips for best results. This DIY modeling paste recipe is meant for crafting and decorative purposes. Do follow the recipe exactly as it is. It never fails me. Acrylic paint works best for this recipe. This paste works on various surfaces and projects should be handled carefully once they're completed to avoid damage. I strongly recommend wearing a mask, having good ventilation, and avoid inhaling the powder during the mixing process. If for some reason, after mixing the paste, you feel it is too thick, do not add water. Doing so would change the chemical makeup and effectiveness of the paste. Instead, add more equal parts glue and acrylic paint. Start with 1 teaspoon of each, then mix. Repeat if necessary. The consistency should be a little thicker and drier than toothpaste or pudding. If for some reason after mixing the paste you feel it is too runny, allow it to thicken overnight in the tightly sealed container. If it is still too runny, add a teaspoon of baby powder or cornstarch. Stir well and allow the paste to thicken again for an hour or so. Fresh paste always works best, so depending on how much you need or how often you use it, make medium to small batches. Because the paste dries out gradually over time, storing the paste in a tightly covered container, even while using it, maintains the life of the paste. I find that a glass jar works best. If you go to use your stored batch of paste and it is very dry, discard it and make a new batch. Dried paste will only lead to brittle results. Do clean the storage jar and utensils thoroughly after each use. You don't want dried, caked up bits of paste creating lumps in your new batch of paste. Yes, you can use colored acrylic paints in place of the white acrylic paint in the recipe. If you need to enhance the color even more, add only a dab or two of the color as needed. You can also tint the white paste mixture using a small amount of a desired acrylic paint color. But remember, the goal is to stick as closely as possible to the amount of acrylic paint in the recipe. Whenever possible, apply the paste to objects that are laying flat or horizontally and blow dry on cool setting immediately, or allow to air dry flat so as not to fight gravity. After application, allow the paste to dry or cure untouched. You can dry it using a cool blow dryer or allow it to air dry for about 12 to 24 hours. Drying times will depend on the thickness of the application, the surface that it is applied to, and the room temperature. For very thick applications, I suggest building it up in multiple layers, drying thoroughly in between layers. So let's go over some of the uses of this versatile DIY paste. Using the DIY paste for smoothing. So here I'm spreading some of the DIY paste onto a tin can to smooth the ridges. After the application of paste has dried, if you want a smoother surface, gently use very fine sandpaper. I strongly recommend wearing a mask during the sanding process and have good ventilation near a window, as it gets very dusty. You can also collect the smooth dust residue, no chunks, and reuse in small amounts in place of baby powder or cornstarch for dusting or as a general thickener. Now I'm sanding with very fine sandpaper, wearing a mask. And now I'm ready to continue decoupaging my project. Using the DIY paste for resurfacing. So here I'm cutting out some cardboard circles to create lids. Now using the modeling paste, I'm filling the edges and covering the top and the bottom of the cardboard to resurface it. Cool dry thoroughly and sand very gently with fine sandpaper. If you're going to paint the dried paste surface, I suggest brushing on a thin, even coat of crafting glue as a protective sealant. Then allow it to dry thoroughly before painting. Use a cool blow dryer to speed up the drying process, especially when using watercolors or oil paints. But try to stick to acrylic paints whenever possible. After sanding, seal with a coat of crafting glue. Cool dry, paint, and cool dry again. Here's another project using the DIY paste for texture and as adhesive. So here I'm applying the paste to sturdy cardboard, giving it texture. And now I'm embellishing the plaque with some rolled air dry clay. And the paste will serve as an adhesive to hold the embellishments in place. So here I'm applying the paste to the back of some wooden mushrooms. Using the DIY paste for modeling and structure. Here I'm applying the paste to model a paper mache pumpkin and to give it some structure. And now it's dry. So to smooth it, I'm sanding with very fine sandpaper and again, wearing a mask and with proper ventilation. The DIY paste is also great for touch-ups. You may notice some hairline cracks after the application of paste has completely dried. Not to worry. Use a small, soft paintbrush or your fingertips to smooth on some more paste, filling any cracks or covering any imperfections. Then cool blow dry or air dry before continuing your project. So here I'm applying some of the DIY paste to fill in some cracks and smooth some imperfections. And I'm using both my fingers and a small thin paintbrush to smooth it. The paste is also great for 3D relief with or without a stencil. So here I'm using a stencil. In this original video I used store-bought paste, but I have not purchased any since then. This DIY paste will work great for 3D stenciling. Here I'm just smoothing on the paste and then carefully removing the stencil. And I'm using a thin sturdy brush to tidy up the edges. And now I'm using a cool blow dryer to dry it. So for the next phase of this project, I put a small amount of the DIY paste into a separate container, and as I want it to be a specific color, I'm adding a bit of acrylic color to tint it. This DIY paste works great as adhesive and tile grout. So as you see here, I'm filling the area with the paste. Then I've added the tiles, leaving some space in between, for the paste to grout the spaces. Then I'm drying with a cool blow dryer. Now that the grout has dried, I'm filling the gaps with some more paste. Then drying that with a cool blow dryer, smoothing the rough surfaces with fine sandpaper. As I said before, you can collect the sanded dust residue and recycle it. Again, this paste recipe is meant for crafting. While I have not personally tried it on a wall in place of textured stucco, it should work fine on an interior wall, provided the area will remain untouched after the entire application process is completed. A cool blow dry will speed up the drying process before gravity takes over. If you want to try any other variation of this recipe, I suggest making a very small batch of it, trying it, and giving it some time to see if it will work for your needs. If you do try something different, please share it with the crafting community here in the comments section of this video or my original video. So that's it. I hope you found this video very helpful. If so, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, like, and share the video with family and friends. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Happy crafting, and thanks for watching.